Will know grandparents that were generations before that we never saw.
Isn't that something?
But we'll see Jesus.
Yep.
Can you tell me about, you were going to tell me about the Samaritans in your life yesterday. Did you want to talk about that?
What was I talking about?
The Samaritans in your life. The Good Samaritans in your life.
Oh, the Good Samaritans in my life.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. And Diane and them know a lot of them. But yeah, it's just the way the Lord plans. Every time I needed something, he was right there. When Tom came back from Korea and we went to Birmingham and rented a cottage, the end of the month came a week before the money came.
Oh.
We had 65 cents.
Oh.
And it was Monday. And he would get paid like on Friday. So I got ham hock, I think, and beans. And the next day, the government paid the refunds on the government insurance early. It didn't usually come until August. That year it came the end of April or May. The end of May.
Who knew a government was going to be your angel that month?
God uses governments
anybody.
all the time.
That's true.
Even governments that don't like him and don't know him, he uses.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was one of the first times that I thanked God, thank you. Mm-hmm. And like I said, then I always, every place that Tom was stationed, we were able to go to church. We didn't always have a car, but there would be a couple from church that would pick us up, both at Birmingham and at Maryland when we didn't have a car first. That went to the Lutheran church. And when let's see, in Orlando, we were able to find an apartment a month after we got to Orlando. We were able to find an upstairs apartment because some friends that were stationed there were moving out, and that was right across the street from Trinity Lutheran Church.
Oh.
So Tom went to Trinity Lutheran Church and took instruction from Pastor Basowski. Before we, and that place really was a little high above our rent line, but Tom was able to finish his instruction before we moved to Winter Garden. And Tom re-enlisted in Orlando in 1955 in June. So he re-enlisted for Orlando because we were there and that's where he wanted to stay. So, the 1st of October, he was sent to Andrews Air Force Base.
And when was Bonnie born?
And it was, Bonnie was born at Orlando, and that was kind of funny too. It was on Sunday night. I always started labor, it seemed like at about 5 o'clock when I was fixing supper. And by 10 o'clock it was regular, and we called the base. They were 5 minutes apart. Okay, bring her out. So Tom works at the hospital, in unit supply at the hospital at Orlando. And so he always went in the back gate, because that's where the hospital was. So it wasn't far to the back gate. So we came up to the back gate, and it's locked. There's nobody on the back gate at night. He was so worried he wasn't going to get around the base and in across the base and to the hospital before it had time. Well, she was born the next day. He hadn't noon yet.
He had time.
I forget whether hers was 12:30 and Laura was 2:30, but both of them were on Monday, you know. And I go to the hospital now, so I would always have leg cramps, and that's why it took so long. So then Carolyn, of course, was due when we were in Maryland, well, Andrews Air Force. But we had been so happy when I got pregnant with Florence Dorothea, because she and Bonnie would have been about 2 years apart. And of course, she came, and in no time, almost, shortly after I got pregnant with Carolyn. So she's due the 15th of December. By the end of December, the whole unit of mats had been made a command, and the end of December was the time that they were scheduled to be out of Andrews Air Force Base and at Scott Air Force Base. So I had false labor with Carolyn for 6 weeks before she was born. The week before she was born, the doctor had told me the next week, if she hadn't come by then, he would induce labor. So there's a storm predicted. We got 12 inches of snow
And that's
that
what she had.
weekend before she was
Oh
born.
my goodness.
That was a warning for you.
Yeah.
So tell me the Lord's,
He's got a sense
So,
of
okay,
humor.
we had a car, and Tom had to drive from Andrews to Scott. So he left the first part of the week before that, right after I got home from the hospital. He left.
Hello.
Well, look who's here.
Hello.
This is my sister Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Diana.
Tammy.
Hi,
Nice
Tammy,
to
come
meet
on
you,
in.
Hi.
Hello.
And you must be Mom.
This is